Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I am, as always, your host, the Lore Runner. Almost didn't stream today. Not because there wasn't a Loreweek worth covering, or because I want to skip the streaminations, but because I am tired. Tired is actually the wrong word. I'm sick. I'm in a very deep recovery stage from sick, and I'm having trouble keeping going. I am honestly probably not going to go ahead and even get groceries today, because I honestly don't think I have the energy to go get groceries today. Nevertheless, we do have a few things to cover. So first of all, this is actually funny. Hang on. There we go. So for those of you not aware, I do like to put show news at the beginning to make sure everyone can see it and everyone can be aware of it. We have a functional QA bot. We finally got it working, and it's up, and it's cool. The way it works is you type in exclamation mark, and then the letter Q, and then you type in your question, and it jumps onto me, and everything's cool, and everything's awesome. That's actually pretty cool, and it works well, and everything's cool about that. I'm going to say cool a few more times, because I'm just struggling for words. But the point is, going forwards, the QA bot is how I effectively expect people to ask questions. You don't necessarily have to, but if you're going to ask anything off topic at all, which I know a lot of us like to do, then that's where you're going to put that. So that's where that goes. Going forwards, be aware, exclamation mark Q, etc., etc. I should also mention that it saves questions across sessions. So for example, I actually have a question in the queue right now from Gum Gum, which I haven't answered yet because I haven't seen Gum Gum yet. I have a question from Ross, which I'm waiting to answer until Ross shows up. I have a dumb question from Hazardous. I'm just joking. I have an exemplative question from Hazardous. It's probably a better way to put that. Hey Ross, no, I didn't ever get my pizza. There, I answered that question. Bam! Question answered. Oh yeah, Crazy Norse. That's just kind of how that's going to be. But it's okay, that's how it's already been, so this just makes it a little bit more organized than usual. But I will keep trying to repeat this information for the, 7,000 people who don't actually watch Loreweek or pay attention to the news. So, trying to plug the question block. I do have to manually fire it up. That is, of course, on me, but I have been pretty good about doing that, so, it's just another thing to set up when I'm setting up streaming. Now, thank you, Blue Up Alex. I will go ahead and put that towards Fire Emblem Warriors 3 in order to add that to the list. And thank you, Silver Mask. I will put that towards Bioshock 2. Listen, Robostal, wait until you hear today's news. No, I'm just joking. Actually, most of the news today is going to be reasonably positive, with one big exception, which we'll get to in a minute. That's true, Rama. Mainstream news, they just give you the honest truth with no editorialism and no sensationalism whatsoever. Laura asks, has the FF14 run been more or less popular than usual? Actually, about the same. My numbers haven't gone up or down. Go figure. So that's a QA bot. I'll go ahead and answer a question. So, actually, Emperor Valerian asks, you know how I make joking quotes or comments to get you chuckle? Don't expect you to address them in detail. Should those go in the queue or just randomly say them? If you're not asking a real question, go ahead and just say it. I mean, you can say it in the bot if you really want to, Valerian. All I'm going to do is delete it immediately, which I've actually already done several times, because I can just manually delete questions just like that, so it's actually pretty easy to police. So a bit of an announcement. There is a thing that I became aware of this morning. I don't know how many of you knew this, but Twitch integration with Discord meant that anyone with a subscription to my channel on Twitch pretty much had an automatic invite to the Discord channel, to the show's Discord. This was not intentional. This was, again, something I wasn't even aware of until this morning. This is unacceptable. This is quite literally a security back door. So I did a little bit of digging to try and figure out what I could do about this, and it turns out the answer is nothing. There is no option. There's no settings here. You're integrated or you're not. So Twitch and my Discord are no longer integrated. Just went ahead and pulled the plug on that one. And the off chance that you are one of those people who is someone who is a subscriber on Twitch, who wants to be part of the Discord, who has been kicked as a result of that, which should be at least a few people, please feel free to ask for a new, fresh, manually generated invite, which is how all invites should be. Next thing. One of you, God, I am really out of it. Some of you are probably aware of the fact that we have a playlist. We're using a new playlist format for the VODs. Something that has already occurred to me, and I wanted to just kind of ask, because I don't really have any information on this. I don't really use the phone when it comes to YouTube or anything like that. Is if people want me to try and switch around a few things with regards to how we do the playlists on the other channel, the pre-recorded channel. So, for example, right now we have playlists for... God, I am really having a hard time concentrating. Right now we have playlists for, you know, like there's the Enterprise playlist, there's the TOS playlist, there's the TAS playlist. Each of the Star Trek shows have their own playlist. Each of the Streamations have their own playlist. And that's kind of it. Everything else that used to be a feature has its own playlist. Obviously, the World of Lorecraft has its own playlist. The post-stream summaries have their own playlist. But we could divide that up into post-stream summary February or post-stream summary, you know, March or whatever. Or we could do post-stream summary 2020 or whatever. We could do... I don't know what else. But you get the idea. We could make more playlists. And I'm looking for feedback here because it really doesn't change anything on my end with regards to doing this. Shrug. I thought about that, Valerian, but at that point that's effectively the same as just giving up manual invites. So we're just going to do the manual invite thing. And I've already shut down the integration, so that's already done and gone. And I know, I could re-add it, but I'm super not going to. Like, I'm sorry. I'm actually a little angry about that. The fact that they just straight up have a functionality, which I was not told about, by the way, which nothing indicates anywhere when you're setting that up, and it's just there, and there's no option to turn it off. I don't really like having those kind of things being taken away from my choice, just personal preference there. But anyways, thank you, Mr. Red. I will put that towards To the Moon. And yes, it is okay to ask, Proaxel. However, we will have to stab you horribly. Stab. I'm just joking. If we have a mod on, they can get you an invite. If we don't, that's whatever. I thought about separating each theater to their own playlist, but honestly, that really doesn't feel worthwhile. Even counting all 3 games total, we still only have a total of 30 videos in that playlist. I'm just going to leave it in the theater playlist for now. If it ever gets to the point where we actually have enough separate theaters running to give each one its own playlist, that's easy to do as well. Yeah, I've actually deliberately not set up Patreon integration, because that gave me a warning and said, hey, this is going to cause some things. It's like, oh, okay. Well, let's not do that. I've already played To the Moon on camera. This will be a review. Jesse's Mask. Do we have any mods on? I don't think we do. We'll get to you, Proaxel. We'll get to you. So I'm getting 0 feedback. So if anybody wants to give any feedback on the VOD, please feel free to let me know. Now, one of the things that I do like to do, really quick, just side note, is I used to share negative comments with regards to YouTube comments, just to kind of make fun of them as a way to deal with it, as a way to vent with them. I'm not going to do that anymore, because screw them. Also was kind of making those kind of things more popular. It was making people actually go out of the way to do those kind of comments. It was encouraging them. So that sucks. So instead I just wanted to mention that I've tried to make a mention of the positive comments I get. And I get several. You know, I get someone saying, you know, good video. I enjoy what this does to add to my enjoyment of the work. This is for the Back to the Future 2 one. I get someone saying, just binged Babylon 5 again. There's a lot of things I missed. This will always be my favorite series. Thank you for helping me point out all these details. That's on Babylon 5, obviously. There's this person. This is actually a new one. TOS episode discussions. How the hell has YouTube hidden this from me? Have a lot to catch up on. Don't care what people say. TOS is my favorite Star Trek. I get positive comments too, and I need to acknowledge that, and I need to reference that, and I need to push that, because if nothing else, I myself need the mental status boost of having that. God, it's actually getting harder and harder to talk every second I talk. This is getting insane. I actually did sleep last night. I'm just gobsmacked right now. Like I said, I'm not even getting grocery shopping today. Let's try and push through the actual news today. So, we'll debate what we go with the playlist for the other thing. I haven't heard any real feedback, so we're just going to move on. Let's get to random news. Let me go and adjust this, because later Tired Me is going to need a thing to help indicate what we're doing. Random news. So, apparently something called, I don't even know what this is. Bird Girl and Smiling Friends. I've never even heard of these shows. Just got renewed, but I'm only mentioning it because I was just linked it in chat 5 seconds ago. So they got renewed, yay! I don't know what that means. Coffee does not work. Wolf Among Us 2 has... So we've known they were working on Wolf Among Us 2 for some time now. They actually got a functional trailer out. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this. I am curious to see how it'll go under the new team. There's... The game is slated to come out next year, 2023. They have been showcasing some Wizard of Oz characters, which is kind of interesting in its own right. And... I don't know, the actual engine they showed looks like the Telltale engine, so it looks like they haven't shifted off of engines. So we'll see where that goes, when that goes. As a fresh reminder, the actual new Telltale game is the Star Trek one, Star Trek Resurgence, whereas Wolf Among Us is being done by the label Telltale, which is mostly new developers. That's not a slight or a good thing or a bad thing or anything, it's just something I feel the need to reiterate. Futurama got renewed for some new episodes, which is confusing. So, this isn't exactly a new thing. Hulu's the one who's doing this, and they have a bit of a habit of just taking shows and revitalizing them, and that's a thing. That's a thing that they do. I don't really have much else to add to that. That being said, they have already mentioned that several people, including Tress MacNeille, Maurice LaMarche, Lauren Tom, Phil LaMarr, and David Herman, are all returning as voice actors. John DiMaggio is not at the moment, so I did a little digging into that specific thing. DiMaggio himself has been public about saying that he wants to come back to it, and Hulu has been public about the fact that they want him to come back to it. However, as some of you may or may not be aware, actors and studios don't necessarily decide things like this, which is always just kind of weird. So, I've talked about this a few times before, but to reiterate this very quickly, most of the time, actors don't make decisions about what they act in. They can push for things, or they can accept things, or they can decline things, but the other 99% of the time, the actor's agent decides what they actually participate in. So DiMaggio's agent is currently in negotiations with the studio and has already run into a wall with regards there too. That's something that's already happened. We'll see if that gets solved. They flat out said that if this doesn't get resolved by quite literally tomorrow, from now, this is obviously a few days ago, but this Monday, tomorrow, if this doesn't get resolved, they're going to go ahead and start doing casting calls for a new actor to replace Bender. Offshore Twitch account, as a fresh reminder, we have a question queue where you can type !Q and then your question for those kinds of questions. I will this once answer you live. Will I ever do Futurama Streamations is not my choice. As a fresh reminder, I don't decide anything with regards to what I stream, or with regards to what I cover with regard to Streamations. That is all something that is funded by you all. So, as of right now, the answer to will I do Futurama Streamations is absolutely not. But if it's ever funded, then the answer will switch to absolutely yes. Babylon 5, speaking of which. So, this is an interesting little situation. JMS, so some of you are probably aware of the fact that there's a Babylon 5 reboot, and it is a reboot. It's a new, different continuity, new, different thing, and that is something that they're actually trying to push. The Babylon 5 reboot has a lot of question marks attached to it. An enormous amount of question marks attached to it. But here's the biggest one. So, the Babylon 5 reboot was picked up by the CW. The CW is currently in the process of being sold. Now, I will be putting a link to the full announcement about this down in the VOD comments, as I always do, or the VOD information or whatever. But JMS says that he has been personally assured by Mark Pedovitz, who is the head of CW, that the pilot episode specifically will survive. We'll see. That's one guy telling you that there's a good chance that your show will actually get made is not something I find to be particularly convincing. Nevertheless, it is a possibility. We should mention that JMS has actually already finished writing the pilot. The pilot is... When I say finished writing, I mean he's done his 9th draft. It is in a spec script, so they're actually ready to start filming the pilot for Babylon 5, or whatever they're going to call it, Babylon 6? I don't know. But obviously that's not going anywhere. The current word at the moment is sometime next year, maybe, for that, with regards to starting to film it. One moment. Thank you, Jesse's Mask. I will jot that down for the Futurama Streamations, as requested. And thank you. Babylon 52! It's actually like New 52, but... I think it's actually it until the Nintendo Direct. So let me go ahead and answer some questions really quick here. Crazy Norse says, do you actually use Discord much? Yeah. Yeah, that's a daily thing for me. I spend an enormous amount of time. I don't actually talk that much on Discord, but it is pretty much my primary message thing at this point. So when I'm talking to friends, you know, when I talk to Pax, when I talk to Gary, when we play video games online, Discord is how we do that. Discord's how we coordinate. Discord's the voice chat we use. And of course, I have a Discord server for the show, I have a Discord server for the theater, and I have a Discord server for FF14. So... Also, technically, there's one for the Trek rewrite, which hasn't really seen a lot of use, because I just haven't had time to work on that. So, in short, yes. Discord, Discord, Discord. Loke says, I like the separation into month, easier to find what I want. Is it worth it to separate the long ones on their own playlist? That's a good question. So, like, for example, FF14 is getting its own playlist, so I'm already ahead of you on that one. So, in other words, yes, I suppose I agree with you on that. This doesn't really apply to that, though. This is entirely focused on the other channel, because I've already decided to do that stuff there. Good idea, though. So anyways, Offshore Twitch account says, I meant to ask, Futurama is any on the list. Well, unfortunately, your question's already been answered. Someone already linked you the Streamations page where you can see the answers to that yourself. This song is, in fact, from Final Fantasy IV. I hope you enjoy Final Fantasy music, because that's what's going to be our Loreweek music for some time now. There's a Nintendo Direct. Some of you may or may not be aware of that. Oh my god. No, I can't. Hang on. Yeah, nobody watches Nintendo Directs. We all know how that works. I was gonna say, if I need to bow that long, I will make it happen. It'll hurt. It'll hurt like hell, but I'll do it. So hang on, so it's 1, 2, 3. Okay. One moment. Thank you, Imperial Star Destroyer, very, very much. I will put that towards Mega Man Legends 2, The Misadventures of Trombone, and the Avatar Streaminations. Thank you. Oh yeah, we have a release date for the FF6 Pixel Remaster. I've already forgotten it, because it doesn't really matter, because I'm not buying it. But I will, of course, be going through the music when that comes out. That'll be a guaranteed Loreweek once I get a hold of the soundtrack of that game, which I will because I have sources. Nintendo Direct. So the first thing they show, we'll just go through this in order. First thing they show is Fire Emblem Warriors 3. Three Hopes, specifically. So they didn't actually show much to this one, so I don't have much to say. My questions are: is it a retelling of Fire Emblem Three Houses? Is it a midquel? Is it just kind of something that's going alongside it? Because some of these Dynasty Warrior style games tend to be alternate tales based on the existing thing. Like, for example, well, okay, that's a spoiler, but Hyrule Warriors 2 is not Breath of the Wild's prequel, if that makes any sense. It looks like it is, but it's a retelling, right? That's the whole point. Hyrule Warriors 1 was just a retelling of Zelda as a concept. And, of course, there's the Dragon Quest Warriors games, which are just retellings of the things. So you get my point. What I'm trying to say is, effectively, all of these Warrior-style games have been retellings. Based on evidence, I would say this is probably a retelling. Like a new path or a new method or whatever. So that makes sense. I'm with it. It would be nice if we get a golden route, because there was no reason for Edelgard to be fighting everyone, but let's not get into that. Or at least not fighting. That's actually not true. There's plenty of reason for her to be fighting some people, but not the rest of the team. Anyways, I am looking forward to it. I do tend to enjoy the Warriors things. I do tend to enjoy these kind of games. Hyrule Warriors 1 and 2 are both legit, so cool. Now I need to acknowledge the fact that Emperor Valerian just donated way too much money. I mean, Thank you, Emperor Valerian, very much. Oh, right, sorry, I actually wrote that down. Fire Emblem Warriors is coming out June 24th. I have it right there. I will put that towards Victoria 3, Emperor Valerian. Thank you. I apologize that I'm not in a state to thank you as much as you deserve right now. Please stop giving me money. Advance Wars 1 and 2, they showcase a little more of this. They did showcase a little bit of the voice acting that they're adding to it. The map editor, which looks kind of legit. The local and online PvP, no mention of co-op, which is really the suck. That one's coming out April 8th. No Man's Sky is hitting the Switch. Very strange choice. I'm not actually sure what to make of that. Nevertheless, that's coming out in the summer. I will go ahead and mention that No Man's Sky has actually turned itself around into being something that's actually a game, as opposed to when it was at launch, where it was a piece of crap. So it'll be interesting to see if this is connected to the same service as everyone else, and if it actually manages to be as interesting of a game. I will admit that one of the things that makes me most curious here is, so some of you may know this, No Man's Sky has a feature called Seasons. It has like a seasonal thing. You hop in, you do certain things, you get a reward for doing that thing. You get little objectives to do for the season. It's very similar to like Diablo 3's seasonal stuff. It's a cool thing, and it's a cool way to keep the game fresh and interesting. I'm curious if that, specifically, will be in the Switch version. Was not able to actually find information on that. Mario Strikers Battle League has been announced. This is a new Mario Strikers game. I actually had to do a little digging to see if this is a remaster or a remake or a port, but no, it is actually a new Mario Strikers. I will freely admit, I actually never played the Mario Strikers back on the GameCube, so I don't really have a thought about that. But they do have 8-player team local co-op, which is actually really cool. You can just have one Switch with 8 controllers and play it that way. They will have an online club mode, which is pretty cool, and this is coming out on June 10th. I will admit, as a quick aside, speaking as a fan of football in general, I do like the idea of a Mario Kart game, except for soccer. Like, that just sounds awesome to me. So, I might end up picking that up, if nothing else, for my niece, so that we can play that together. They showed off more of Splatoon 3's Salmon Run. I'm going to go and be honest, I was actually really lost in what the hell I was looking at. Is this an existing mode? Like, I've fallen out of Splatoon really, really hard. So I'm not sure what was going on here. But they do mention a co-op mode against bosses, and Splatoon 3 itself will be coming out in the summer. That's about all I got on that one. Then they mentioned this little known game that nobody's ever heard of called Front Mission 1. Now, yeah, the music during the Splatoon 3 thing was just... What the hell am I listening to? It looks like it stopped, by the way. Thank you, scruffy looking. Thank you. As usual, if you know where you want those to go, please let me know. Give me one moment. So, Front Mission 1. By everything I've been able to look into, this is actually a full remake, not a remaster. But even that is not something I'm willing to put 100% of a pin on. Because I am not sufficiently personally familiar with the original Front Mission, which I've actually never played. So I don't know if this is a full remake. I don't know if this is a remaster. It is definitely something that's trying to push Front Mission onto modern consoles, so if nothing else, I'm actually happy about that. They do... that's actually all I got for Front Mission 1, believe it or not. But still, it's cool. As usual, I am cool with forwards porting and not letting games fall to the wayside and die in obscurity. Even games I've never played before. And thank you, Jesse's Mask. I will jot that down for Live Alive, which I actually had to look up how to pronounce that properly. Because apparently I've been pronouncing it wrong this entire time, like the last 2 decades. That's a good question, Crazy Norse. Again, I am not familiar with Front Mission, so I really have absolutely no idea what we're looking at here. Never played it. They mentioned a Disney Mario Kart. Because that's what it's called, Disney Speedstorm. And it's a bonkers racer, just like Mario Kart. It's free to play. It's got it looks kind of crap, to be honest with you. Like, I'm just super not impressed with it. But I'm not... Yeah, no. Probably gonna skip out on that one. So then we have The Force Unleashed 1, which is being ported to the Switch. Could this have happened like a year ago, before I had to stream Force Unleashed 1? It doesn't look like they've really done much to it. It looks like it's just kind of, it's a port of the Wii version. But, as usual, I am happy to see these things get ported forwards. As a reminder, we actually had severe issues getting the PC version even streamable. So, yeah, shrug. Now, the Ezio trilogy, kidding, Shikra. The Ezio trilogy is getting ported to the Switch. Near as I can tell, this is Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. They didn't actually specifically say either. I'm assuming it's those 3. There's actually a pretty good chance I will buy this myself, because those are some pretty good games. Actually, Revelations is still one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games. And, again, I'm with that. No, you did it correctly, Imperial Star Destroyer. I don't answer the questions immediately. That's the whole point of the question queue, is I can get to it later and it doesn't get lost in chat, right? Like, so I don't have to pause constantly while I'm trying to talk and answer questions. This is one of the primary reasons for the question queue. It's saved. It's there. It's right there. Wait. Oh, for Christ's sakes! No, you're right. The bot didn't respond because the bot's down! Oh, for Christ's sakes. Someone give me a question real quick, please. It ran all day yesterday. I just left it up for 11 hours. No problems. Got a lot of questions. It was perfect for a run like FF14 because FF14 is the perfect kind of stream to periodically go and answer questions when we're running from point A to point B. And I don't want people to interrupt me while I'm in the middle of reading a quest or talking about a lore thing. I'm getting it in Oceans. I'm just manually grabbing Imperial Star Destroyer's question. I can look at it later. I know there was a couple other ones I missed in there. I saw questions coming through, and I was sort of deliberately ignoring them because that's the whole point of the bot. I want to be very clear that I 100% blame Google on this, by the way, because this is all Google's fault. Seriously, that's not actually a joke. Google has absolutely been the aggravation when it comes to this bot and getting it working properly, because Google is stupid. There's something called SD Gundam Battle Alliance. It looks like Lego Gundam. I have nothing else to add to that. Chrono Cross is getting a remaster, and I very much hesitate to even call it a remaster. In fact, based on everything I saw, it looks like a straight-up port. This will make my job a little bit easier with regards to streaming it, assuming, of course, it is actually not a buggy mess like several other recent remasters have been. Nevertheless, it does apparently come with 2 new features, Ink None and new music, which I'm not sure what to make of that one. It will also have Radical Dreamers baked in, which is funny, because for those of you not aware, Radical Dreamers was actually added as a separate run some time ago. And so now all I've done, and I've actually already done this, is I've baked Radical Dreamers into the Chrono Cross Remaster run, and we're just going to run those together. So we'll see, but yeah, no, this looks like a port. Now, I'm still happy about that, to be very clear. Ports are good. I am pro-port. But I call umbrage at the fact that they're calling this a remaster. So then we show off Kirby for a little bit. They didn't show off too much. They mostly showed off two new concepts, which look cool. So they show off one thing, which is the fact that you have the ability to become a big thing. They call this mouthful mode. This actually looks kind of cool. This is, in terms of structure and style, this looks very, very similar to the hat copy power-up from Mario Odyssey, and it seems to be used in almost the same way. You use it on site-specific things, you use it on this thing, which is helpful for this area, and then you leave it behind, right? And that enables you to access new areas and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And that's actually a really cool concept, and that sounds awesome. There's also a thing where they showed off a little bit more of the Waddle Dee Town. We've actually seen this before. We see how it grows. It reminds me a lot of the Chows from Sonic Adventure 2. I really like the idea that they added, though. As you rescue people, you get a tangible benefit, which is you can use it to upgrade your existing abilities, your copy abilities. This is something I've kind of wanted from Kirby for a while. They've played with this before, with like the mega abilities, but this is the closest they've come to actually straight up making you have, you know, just a hammer attack, but then a stronger hammer attack, or being able to, you know, make a barrier with ice, or being able to shoot, you fly around as a freaking dragon with the fire ability, etc. So that's cool, and that's awesome. Two very cool things. Very much looking forward to that game some year. It's coming out March 25th. Then they showed a commercial for something called The Show 22. I'm gonna bit of a state right now, but I gotta be very clear that this is probably the worst commercial I've ever seen in my life. It's an extraordinarily awkward, badly written, badly tempoed commercial with people who probably shouldn't be on camera or on mic, attempting very desperately to be funny. And if you think I'm not funny, you have not seen unfunny, aggressively unfunny until you've seen this commercial. I'm not even repeating it. It's just, oh god, it's so bad. Do you want me to? Hang on, let's see if I can find an individual shot of it, because this is just so bad. Hang on. See if I can find just it. Is this it? This looks like it. Yep. Alright, hang on. Let me pull it up on camera. Give me just a moment. That should be it. A little too big. Prepare to be blinded. There we go. Come on. There we go. Yep, someone worked really hard on this commercial, which is sad.
任天堂ディレクトをご覧の皆さん、こんにちは。バッターの大谷翔平です。ピッチャーの大谷翔平です。任天堂スイッチ上で今回初めて MLB ザショー22が楽しめるようになりました。それではこちらをご覧ください。
That's right, Otani-san. MLB The Show is coming to Nintendo Switch. That means you can play modes like Road to the Show and Diamond Dynasty on your Nintendo Switch. But that's not all. You can even play Exhibition with a single Joy-Con controller. With cross progression, you can also earn and use content on any platform where MLB The Show 22 is available. And take your progress on the go.
How do you love this voiceover, by the way?
Have friends that play MLB The Show 22 online matches on other consoles.
I know, just...
No need to worry. You can invite them.
This guy's voice acting is just the worst. Hang on.
I knew you were a true two-way player, but this is ridiculous. Sheesh.
And there it is. Hope you enjoyed that. Well, I don't really watch commercials, so I will take that as a good thing that that's the worst commercial I've seen, because that is the worst commercial I've seen. Oh my god. Anyways. Where's my friggin' music? So, I mean, I don't follow baseball. I have no idea who that person is, to be completely honest. But he should probably not be on camera for commercials. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's okay, he could be a perfectly good baseball player. He's just terrible on camera. Do you notice how he was very, and I do mean very obviously, reading his lines? Like, as you watch the two of them up, you could see their eyes doing this, both of them, as they were both reading their lines. Anyways. So then they mentioned the Kingdom Hearts streaming version, which is still awful. I've actually seen people playing these before. Playable copies of the Kingdom Hearts streaming version. It sucks. Let's just drop jokes for a second. It sucks. It's functional. And that's about the nicest thing I could say about these versions. Now, I've already been very negative towards the very existence of putting the Kingdom Hearts game as a streaming version on the Switch, but this is awful. There's input delay, lots of input delay. There's frame loss. There's actually animation losses. It's bad. It's probably going to sell because it's Kingdom Hearts on the Switch, but the problem is, I think that's mostly due to, and I'm just going to say this as bluntly as I possibly can, ignorance. I think most people are not actually familiar with what they're buying and are not aware of just how bad this is going to be. Yeah, imagine doing any of the actually hard stuff in any Kingdom Hearts game on this freaking version. Fresh reminder, do not buy. It's worth noting that there are several developers on the Square Enix side who have actually been public about the fact that they're not super happy about this either, and plenty of people have been pushing the idea that if this doesn't sell well, or if there's enough public feedback, they might actually do an actual goddamn port of these games on the Switch, which I would buy day one, it's worth noting. So, we'll see. Anyways, Klonoa Fantasy Reverie is something I've never heard of. It's apparently a side-scrolling platformer that includes both Klonoa 1 and 2. It's coming out on July 8th. Speaking of games running just fine on the Switch, the Portal Companion Collection is coming out on the Switch. Now, I'll never buy this, because it's an FPS game and I prefer playing those with mouse and keyboard. But Portal 1 and 2, with co-op, including split-screen co-op, will be coming out this year at some point on the Switch. That's actually kind of awesome, and I do hope that does well. So I suppose I should talk about Live Alive at this point. It is getting the full remake treatment. It is getting partial voice acting, and it is being done in what I am mentally referring to as the Octopath. It's not actually the Octopath engine, it's more like the Octopath style. Octopath sub-engine? I don't know what to call this. Someone who knows programming, help me out here, because all these games are being done in the same engine, which is the same engine Octopath was being done in, but they're all being done with like the same dev kit. So they are all Octopathy, right? They all use the voxel style system. They all have the same approach to interface and combat, and just the bones are the same. And I don't know what to call that, so I'm just going to move on. But anyways, it's dev kit sounds right, but I don't know. This is coming out July 22nd, and I don't actually know what to say about this, so I'll go ahead and admit that... well, no, we know they're all made in... You know what, hang on. One moment. Octopath Traveler. Give me a second. So Octopath Traveler is made in Unreal Engine 4. But that's not what I mean. Because a lot of games are made in Unreal Engine 4. A stupid amount of games are made in Unreal Engine 4. What I mean is that these games all look and function the same. There's actually been several. There's the Triangle Strategy one coming out. There's the Dragon Quest III remake that's coming out. There is the Live Alive remake, which is coming out. All of these games look, feel, function, have the same kind of menu system, have the same kind of visual approach, have the same kind of audio design, have the same audio triggers on text, have the same text advancement thing. All the stuff that goes into making the game itself. All of that is the same as Octopath Traveler. So, whatever the hell the term is for that. Moving on. I don't know much about Live Alive, by which I mean I know almost nothing about Live Alive. In fact, I couldn't even tell you what the story of Live Alive was off the top of my head until I looked it up yesterday. So, okay, it's apparently I'm just going to use the word engine, and we're just going to live with that. Sure. So it's using the same engine. Cool. I've usually heard that referred to as sub-engine, Java, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing because my brain is approximately 7 miles that way right now. So I'm sorry, I keep getting interrupted this, but all I have to say about this is I have nothing to say about this. I know a lot of people are very excited about Live Alive. This is the first time it's coming out outside of Japan ever. So this is its very first port outside of Japan, official port, excuse me. So that is actually a good thing. I'm very, very happy about that. And even if it's a remake that's not, you know, super exact to the original, yeah, no, that's cool. I don't know what else to say about it. Like I said, I never played it. I've never seen it. It has 2 endings, I can tell you that much. Framework isn't a bad way to put that, the Octopath framework. By the way, that's not me trying to bash on the Octopath framework. Most of my complaints with the Octopath game were the design of the game, and the fact that it gave me literal headaches. So that's 2 kind of unrelated things. Anyways, so woo! Maybe this is hopeful, maybe it's not. There's a reason I call them squirrels for brains. They do whatever the hell they want to, and sometimes that leads to some awesome stuff, and sometimes that leads to some face-palming stuff. By the way, it's a good time to pause and mention something. So, one of the things I do as part of my job, I don't talk about this that often, is I actually bother whenever there's a phone game, a mobile game, that is something that is at least tangentially related to the interests of the show, I bother to go ahead and play it and see if it's actually worth a damn. So in this case, I was playing Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier on the phone. So let me start by saying don't play this game, it sucks. But I wanted to mention this I wanted to mention this because some people have actually asked if I've been looking at certain phone games or certain other phone games, or if I'm just completely anti-phone game. And while I admit I am absolutely anti-phone game, that does not diminish my ability to do my job, and therefore I have actually been bothering to check out some of these games. So, I have played that game. Don't play it. Moving on. They announced Switch Sports. This is an interesting one, because Switch Sports is a continuation of Wii Sports. I'm not sure what I think of that. I never got into Wii Sports. I know a few people who did, though, so, that's cool. It looks like they're adding, so they have online multiplayer and local multiplayer. They also are adding tennis, bowling, aka the best game on the Wii, Chambara, soccer, and badminton, as well as volleyball. They will also be adding in a free update in the fall to add golf to the list. Sorry, read my thing. To add golf to the list. I'm not sure what I think about that. I will, of course, not be buying it because I have no interest in it personally, but it'll be interesting to see how much this actually sells, because Wii Sports sold gangbusters. And if Switch Sports sells well, honestly, that's kind of awesome, because that means they can put that money to something else and not have to worry about, being horrible about their other games, right? Anyways, then they showed off a game called Taiko no Tatsujin. Now, believe it or not, no, I do not, Melkor Blade. Believe it or not, I actually think that this is an interesting game. So you play as a taiko drum. Let's actually talk about this a little bit more clearly. What you play as, it's a rhythm game. It's just a press, hold down, and rapid fire. Those are the inputs. But other than that, it's a rhythm game. You play the music, and you go through it, and that's actually kind of interesting. The game itself looks like something that wouldn't catch my attention, except for the fact that it has a multiplayer band mode. So the way this works is the song is going forward. It's the, what do you call that? The jet runway or whatever of the notes are coming from the right. But instead of having like notes here, and that's for that, a single chord or a single section will be divvied up amongst all 2, 3, or 4 players. So you may only play one note in a specific section of song, and you still have to play your note correctly. So everyone has to be focused on their lane and try to play their thing. And that actually looks kind of fun. So I'd mention that one. Triangle Strategy. Hey, there's the Octopath Framework game again. They've continued to not really share a lot of information about this one, except for one big thing. The demo, which is actually available right now, is up to Chapter 3 with regards to content, and the save data from the demo carries over. Pause. Now, even if Triangle Strategy was a crap game, which I have no idea on, I haven't had time to play the demo, this is awesome. And I want to plug this and praise this for being a correct way of doing things. As I've said thousands of times in my career, demos good. I'm glad that Nintendo has continued to push the idea, inconsistently, but at least they've pushed the idea of putting out demos. So yes, good demos, good. Whether the game's good or not, I don't even care. Please keep doing demos. All right. And yeah, that's coming out very soon. Less than a month now at this point. They showed out showed off the Cuphead DLC a little bit. We've actually already talked about this. There's not much to add to that. They did show off a little bit more of the new playable character, which is Miss Chalice, who will add a double jump and a rolling dodge, which apparently actually gives her iframes, which is kind of significant when it comes to a game like Cuphead. So that's cool. Metroid Dread got an update. This added Dread mode, which is hell. I think this is either heaven or hell, heaven and hell, or hell and hell mode. I forget what it is, but either way, all the other enemies are the same, but you have 1 HP. It's that thing. You are Oko. We could just call it Oko mode because that's actually what it means. You get hit, you die instantly, which is going to substantially change certain sections of the game. They also are adding a rookie mode. It is hell or hell, okay. They're also adding a rookie mode, which I'm not sure what to make of that, because the only thing they actually flat out said about rookie mode is that it heals for more. If you take it in a heal, it heals you for more. That patch has actually already gone live, so you can actually go and play that right now. There's also a boss rush mode that'll be coming out in April, which is exactly what it sounds like. Earthbound and Mother, Earthbound 0, are both hitting the Switch Online. I'm happy about this, and at the same time I'm sad, because I really wish that, we would actually be able to buy these games on the Switch rather than having to sub to the online service to gain access to it, but okay, whatever. Baby steps, baby steps. Also, no Mother... No Mother 3. No even word on Mother 3. At this point, I am very strongly suspecting that there's something going on that we just don't know about. I really am. There's obviously some kind of legal or financial problem, because we're reaching the point where this has stopped being funny. There is no practical reason that we're aware of that Mother 3 should not be allowed to be ported out or patched out. There has got to be some right issue somewhere that is preventing that. I've actually done a search on this more than once in my life. More than once recently, I have done searching, trying to figure out what the limitation is on Mother 3, and I have found nothing. So whatever it is, it's either some esoteric law, or it's a small court claims case, or it's a rights issue that someone's squatting on, or something. Yeah, you know what? We've got Toby Fox now. Looking forward to Deltarune. I'm going to answer that question right now, Lunareth. Nintendo Online does not force you to stream the game. You can play them locally. I forget the exact specifics, but basically you have the Nintendo Online account, right? So every time you pop on, it downloads any new games locally. So you have all those games locally, and I think once per X amount of time, I don't remember what the X amount of time is, it checks to make sure you're still subscribed. If you stop subscribing, you lose access to those games. That's how the system works right now. So then they did a bit of a rapid-fire thing here. Zombie Army 4. Getsu Fumaden, which looks like a paint-based horror side-scroller. Zeiss, which is a Pathfinder in the Wrath of the Righteous. Demon Slayer Chronicles, which I think is based on the show. I'm not actually really familiar with that because they didn't show any gameplay whatsoever. Lego Brawls, which is actually Lego Smash Brothers. 2 Point Campus. I'm actually happy about this one. Anybody who knows me knows I'm really into those kind of games in general. I'm actually really excited to play 2 Point Campus. I'll probably play it on the PC, admittedly, but I might also pick that up on the Switch for portable playing. Then they showed off the Mario Kart thing. Now, what's unfortunate about this is they didn't show as much information as I would have liked. So, what they said is they're doing a big old map pack for Mario Kart. Now, first of all, cool. I am actually in favor. This is content. This is core content for something like Mario Kart. Now, they are definitely upporting several previous courses. They showed off several of them. I recognized all but one of them, because one of them is one from the freaking mobile game. By the way, fresh reminder, do not play the Mario Kart mobile game. March 18th is when the first wave will come out. Those are the tracks that they just showed off. There are 48 tracks in total. It is $25 to buy the whole thing. Or, this is a weird one, if you have the Switch Online expansion pack, aka the more expensive Switch Online version, then you just get it for free. Now, the reason I mentioned that this is interesting is because what Nintendo is clearly trying to do is trying to add value to their subscription service. Good effort, a little bit of a D- in terms of the results here. If you want to really figure out how to add value to your subscription service, do me a favor and go watch what Xbox does with the Game Pass and then come back to me. Either way, truth be told, I will most likely plop down the $25 to simply buy it, and I will see what we have of it. They mentioned that they're doing some they're porting old courses, but they didn't say they're just porting old courses. So there might be new courses. I'm not actually sure how they're doing that exactly. Like I said, there's a frustrating lack of information there, so whatever. Yeah, by the way, I don't even have the Xbox or the Game Pass, and I never will. But I still, just from a purely economic perspective, I praise the Game Pass and what they do with it and how they do it. It's a good system. It's a good model. It has tons of value. That's awesome. Then they showed off the final thing, Xenoblade 3. Now, this is an interesting one. So, I cannot talk about this without spoiling Xenoblade 1 and 2. So for anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled about Xenoblade 1 and 2, this is a good time to pause the stream, or mute me, or whatever. I'll like wave or something when it's cool to unmute me, okay? I'll give you a few seconds to mute me. Yeah, you know what? I have this for a reason. I'll put up the spoilers thing. There, spoilers. Okay, so one of the biggest spoilers about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is the fact that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 1 actually share continuity. They exist kind of within the same setting. In fact, one of them is half of the other. Now, I'm not going to go into full details on this, because that would involve more knowledge of exactly what's going on and would be a massive, massive spoiler for both games. But nevertheless, the reveal that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 actually occurs alongside and is connected to 1 is something that's saved until quite literally the last dungeon. It's one of the last plot points you get in the entire game. During the reveal, they casually mention that Xenoblade 3 will continue the story of Xenoblade 1 and 2. Just sort of giving that one away there, which is interesting. Nevertheless, regardless of their approach to spoilers on this matter, let's actually acknowledge what they have said. Xenoblade 3 is a sequel to 1 and 2. In fact, some people who are smarter than me have actually done a little bit of looking into this and figured out specific characters from each game who are shown in the milliseconds that they're shown during the trailer, and can point out that what's most likely happening here is the denizens of 1 and the denizens of 2 have effectively been ported to the same setting or system or whatever, and they are at war with each other. And one of the main characters is from 1, and one of the main characters is from 2. And that's the overall approach to the story, the premise thereof. I'm not sure what Lucas has to do with any of this, but he's probably turbo dead, so let's just move on from that. There is something else they mentioned. So they talk about nonstop war and conflict. They also talk a lot about enemies. It's a big approach that everyone has to have enemies, and the only reason they're fighting is because they're enemies, and they don't need any other reason for that, blah, 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 blah. And they talk about filling up their clocks. So, one of the big narrative thematic points of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was that nobody was allowed to get too advanced because there was a fear that people would then leave the, I hesitate to call it a planet, and as a consequence of leaving, Lucas wouldn't be able to parasitically invade people and continue to live through that. Whereas in 2, a lot of the thematic point of the game was that the creator in that case, which is Lucas, as I already mentioned, we're in spoiler territory, you know what we were getting into. Same guy, or more accurately, half of the same guy. He was doing the exact opposite. He was actually encouraging development and encouraging growth and wanting people to build a society and civilization and move onwards, right? So, from there, we already have a big thematic contrast between the two, but both of those were being enforced by an external source. There's also the fact that this is already an artificial plane, universe, separate from the normal one as a result of Earth kind of being wiped out. Thanks to Lucas, again. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is, and I swear this just makes sense in my head, it feels like what's happening is the, let's call it the life force, because I don't have a better word for it, of whatever this demi-plane is limited, a finite resource. And killing enemies and defeating enemies is probably what they keep talking about with regards to filling up their clocks. There's actually several pieces of dialogue which make reference to either trying to empty someone's clock or fill someone else's clock with the attack and yada yada yada, right? That's my take on it. This is all speculation based on analysis. There's nothing that confirms any of this. I did actually look to see if there was any additional information on Xenoblade 3. The answer is no. So that's all I got for right now. This is an interesting approach. I have to admit, of all the things I expected them to do, actually having 1 and 2 connected was something that surprised me. Having 1, 2, and 3 connected surprises me even more. Granted, the Xenosagas were connected. Sure, that lines up. But I mean, how much does Xenogears have to do with anything? Or Chronicles X, for that matter. Oh. And yeah, watch. In the middle of 3, they'll be like, and then it was X all along. Or like, this is the intro to X, where they leave and get dumped into the computers. I don't know. Anyways. Where is the spoiler thing? There it is. There we go. Okay, we're good, we're good. Now, before I move on, I have 700 questions, all of them from Offshore Twitch account. Let's go through these here. So first of all, Offshore Twitch account asks, why do you think they're porting the Wii version specifically to Switch other than motion controls? The easy answer would be rights issues. They probably most likely have access to that version, and therefore that's probably the version that they have the right to port. What's my opinion on Simpsons Hit and Run? It exists, I think. I'm not sure what it is, other than the fact that I think I've heard of it before, so it's probably a video game. F and Craig is awesome. Fresh reminder. What do you think of the new difficulty levels they added to Dread? I feel like I already answered that. Is this a mobile game ad or a Nintendo ad? I don't understand the question. Would you ever do a section on the site that explains all the lore picks? What determines the price to fund something and how the gold numbers are calculated? See you around, Javan. So, if I have to explain what the lore picks are, I'm afraid I've completely failed at life, and I should just go jump in front of a bus. What determines the price to fund something is only the duration. That's a one-sentence answer. How long it is, the hours. How the golden numbers is calculated is something I don't even give away in general, because it's actually a massively, intensely complex thing that I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head. Am I looking forward to Spider-Verse 2? No. Have I seen the accessibility options for Horizon Forbidden West? No, I have not actually seen what they're doing with that one yet. It's kind of not on my radar yet, because not only do I not own a PS5, I guess it's on the PS4 as well. But either way, it's in the future. It's not a game that's funded. It's not a game we're playing when it comes out. It gets to be pushed out till it's done. What's my favorite Sim games? Sims 3. Does Nintendo... I already answered Luna's question. Hitman Trilogy is on the Game Pass. We'll be playing it via that when it gets funded. I feel like I already answered this. I don't have a Game Pass. I don't have an Xbox. I'll be playing it by buying it, which is how I play games. Oh, the Nintendo... Ah, gotcha, Robostal. That makes more sense. Now, Imperial Star Destroyer asks another thing. It says, I would like to argue for doing the Arcane streaminations right after MLP. I know you don't care for playing the YouTube game, which I don't, by the way. Let's just make that very clear. But since Arcane is big right now, it'll bring traffic to your channel, which means more potential subs. Is this something that is feasible? First of all, let me go ahead and stay right up the front. No, there's actually a very big and strong reason why we're doing Justified first. So, one way or another, we're not doing Arcane next, period. I would be lying if I also said it wasn't because I really want to hear your thoughts on it sooner than later, but I generally want more people to be aware of your channel. That is cool. I do appreciate the thought, but I sell trout-flavored yogurt, and I've just kind of accepted that at this point in my life. So... Have you ever played the game Honkai Third Impact? I've never even heard of that game. New Horizons is PS5 only. No, it's actually also on PS4, although I just said that. Are you aware that Sony recently hiked up the original price for PC Steam version of Horizon Zero Dawn? No. That is pretty stupid of them, but, you know, whatever. Gotta do regional pricings because, well, let's be honest, what we need more in our life is more politics in video gaming. It makes sense, doesn't it? I drink from a ham. Yes, I know, Lunarith, but it's on PS5 and it's on PS4. That's it. That's all. It is on PS5 and PS4. That's it's locked there. And that's the end of that. Okay. I successfully managed to make it through the Loreweek. Now I have to analyze 2 episodes of MLP.